guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, it is Thursday, June 6th, and it is 10:17 p.m. Eastern Time. I have had a wonderful day, and what better way to end a wonderful day than to spend an evening with you guys and the news. Now, we don't have any Q posts tonight, but we do have lots of news, lots and lots of news. So that's what we're going to get into right now, and let's go. All right, you guys are looking well tonight. I hope that, well, tomorrow is Friday. I was hoping that the D class would happen today on D-Day, 75th anniversary of D-Day, and it did not. So I guess I will hope that it happens tomorrow. Everybody is waiting for that with bated breath, and myself included. Anyway, let's just get into the news, and there's a lot of it. Not sure that I can, well, in fact, I know right now I can't cover it all in one video. If I have enough energy, I may do 2 videos tonight as well, just because there is so much happening and so much that I feel that I need to touch on, because there's some of it that I can let go, but other stuff that, no, I really, it's stuff that I feel that should be brought up. So let's get started. All right, here is the first one. And again, thank you, Heather, for the things that you sent me. A lot of them I have decided to use, so thank you so much. I appreciate it, and appreciate your humor as well. So anyway, let's get into this. Now, this is breaking. This is from Right Wing Tribune, but they are not the only ones that are reporting on this. And I don't know, I can't remember now if I reported on it or not, about the New York Police Department chief that commits suicide. He went off, he was going to be retiring, I do believe, and he went off by himself and shot himself in his car. Well, now we have another. Breaking, New York Police Department chief just killed himself. Now, I'm hoping, actually, I hope that this is, this may be the first one, actually. And I'm not sure now if this is the first or the second. It says Chief Silks was Jewish and was proud of his heritage. The New York Police Chief Chaplain, Rabbi Alvin Cass, is talking to the family. He was a great friend of the Jewish community. Silks was not married and had no children. He reportedly had pleaded with upper brass for a promotion to 2-star chief for the past 3 years. Did he kill himself, or was it a hit job? Additional information will be published when it becomes available. So yes, now that I reread this, this is the first one that killed himself, and now a second one has also killed himself. And it makes me wonder, because it was the New York Police Department that were in possession of Weiner's laptop, and there was a file on there called insurance policy. And there was reportedly a video of Hillary and I do believe Huma Abedin engaged in inappropriate actions with a child, and much worse than that. It said, from what I've heard, those police officers that viewed it immediately got sick to their stomach, and for a seasoned police officer to actually throw up, that takes something. So now there are 2 that have committed suicide, and it makes me wonder if there's any correlation there between the 2 things, between the Weiner laptop and the insurance file and these 2 men on New York Police Department. One was a chief who commits suicide. Both died in their car by themselves by a gunshot wound. So it is being ruled a suicide, but is it? There's been other things that have been ruled a suicide that definitely were not. So, like what is his Scalia, Antonin Scalia, that was deemed a I believe it was deemed natural causes, but it was definitely not that. So let's go back and go on, because we have got a ton to get to tonight. And let's hit on this. Well, not literally hit on it because, it's not nice to do that. Make advances to news articles. Okay, now this is from the Daily Mail. Trump says tariffs on Mexico will be imposed Monday after a breakdown in talks, despite an increase in military and police presence south of the border to stop the surge of migrants. Talks between Mexico Foreign Minister, the U.S. Vice President, and Secretary of State ended with no deal. Mexican delegation is in Washington to lobby administration and Congress to remove threats of tariffs. Mexico dispatched a special unit of 200 agents to intercept 1,000 migrants headed for the United States. The caravan of migrants from Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala departed from Ciudad Hidalgo at the Mexico border on Wednesday morning and walked along a highway toward Tapachula. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing these right, so please forgive me for butchering the names. Escorted by police, they were met some 11 miles short of their destination by the special unit, forming a blockade on the road. The vast majority of the migrants complied with officials' orders and boarded immigration agency vehicles. Others resisted and were wrested to the ground by unarmed officers or fled to the thick forest nearby. Parents sat on the pavement holding their children as they wept and begged authorities not to take them. The confrontation took place as temperatures in the region reached 91 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 33 degrees Celsius for you Canadians and Europeans. Several migrants fainted and collapsed from the heat, and at least one man received medical attention. An immigration official at the site, who was not authorized to speak publicly, said the 600 to 800 migrants would initially be taken to an immigration detention center in Tapachula. So they are making efforts, at least some efforts, to stop this. And I have a feeling that they're going to be making a lot more efforts over the weekend to maybe avoid the tariffs taking place. I know a lot of people are kind of, bad-mouthing Trump because of these tariffs, and they feel it's unfair. But you know what? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And that money seems to be the only thing that is getting through to them. So he's hitting them in their pocketbook, and suddenly they're complying. Suddenly they can come up with people that can hold these people back, So it is working, despite what anybody says. It is working. So, says further talks with Mexico will resume tomorrow in the understanding that if no agreement is reached, tariffs at the 5% level will begin on Monday with monthly increases as per schedule. The higher the tariffs go, the higher the number of companies that will move back to the USA. And that is true because, of course, companies are worried about their bottom line. So if it's affecting their pocketbook, they're going to up and move. So I think Trump is dealing with this in an intelligent manner. Maybe there are many that disagree, but I tend to think that he knows what he's doing. He's a very good negotiator. So, and it says here's a tweet by Donald Trump: immigration discussions at the White House with representatives of Mexico have ended for the day. Progress is being made, but not nearly enough. Border arrests for May are at 133,000 because of Mexico and the Democrats in Congress refusing to budge on immigration reform. Further, talks with Mexico will resume tomorrow with the understanding that if no agreement is reached, tariffs at the 5% level will begin on Monday with monthly increases as per schedule. The higher the tariffs go, the higher the number of companies that will move back to the USA. And true. A Mexican official familiar with the bilateral relationship said the lobbying effort includes meetings with members of Congress, think tanks, businessmen, and current and former U.S. governors. So let's hope that Mexico will do what they can to stem this tide, because as we know, it is not just Central Americans, it's not just Mexicans, it's not just Guatemalans and Hondurans and El Salvadorans and, everyone. It is people from 70 countries that are represented in this mob at the border. 70 countries, including countries that do not have very good sanitation, and including countries that currently have outbreaks such as Ebola. Definitely don't need that, although it's already here. But aside from that, let's go on here and see if there's anything else. And I'm sure that people were experiencing distress from the heat, but this is how I look at it. And it's not that I am unsympathetic towards their plight. I'm not. And I think that when you have people in need, you have to do what you can do to help them right then. But they wouldn't be in this if they weren't in the caravan. If they weren't trying to cross into the United States illegally, they wouldn't be in this situation of being overheated and having health issues and so forth. And many of these people that are coming are well dressed, well fed, and I don't mean that to be rude, but you can see from these people here, they're well dressed, they're well fed, their hair is clean. They've got clean t-shirts on. They've got very nice strollers. The children are dressed well. These are not people that I would consider the poorest of the poor by any means. And a lot of them are carrying iPhones. Imagine that. There's a lot of Americans that can't afford iPhones. There's a lot of working Americans that can't afford iPhones. Anyway, let's go on here and just show you the pictures. These people do not look like they are the poor wandering migrants that the Democrats would like us to believe that they are. And here is the special unit of 200 military, police, immigration agents, and federal officers, and they're waiting for the arrival of the caravan. Just makes you wonder, again, look at these people. They're dressed well, and mostly men here that I see in this group anyway. Here's a guy riding a motorcycle, and yeah, so obviously these people are getting rides. They're not walking, 1,000, 2,000 miles on foot. They're not. So, and we know that. We know better. So anyway, let's go back. I think that I have flogged that dead horse enough. And let's look at this. I found this on Twitter and I had to share it. 2017. Republicans must accept the findings of the Mueller report. 2019. We do not accept the findings of the Mueller report. Yeah, it's funny the difference that 2 years can make. And she's looking kind of haggard here. I'm sure she was quite hopeful that Mueller was going to pull through for her and, find Trump guilty of something. But no can do. And she's not willing to accept the findings of the Mueller report. But she sure wanted to stick it to the Republicans. Oh, you got to accept the findings of the Mueller report. Well, there you go. She's a hypocrite, if nothing else. Okay, now let's look at this. I think this is something that you will be interested in. And if not, oops. Okay. We're not looking at Oprah there, going like this. Breaking news. Prayers go out to no. We don't care about that. Exclusive interview. Here we are. Belmarsh prison inmate provides photos of Julian Assange, says the internet is the one thing they can't control. And this is from today, June 6th, so this is fresh off the press. The Gateway Pundit has obtained exclusive testimony as well as photos from a fellow inmate of imprisoned WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange inside London's highest security prison. The inmate, who wishes to remain anonymous, sent multiple photos of Assange from inside Belmarsh maximum security prison and spoke to the Gateway Pundit about the WikiLeaks founder's situation using a contraband phone he has inside. Assange is imprisoned in the United Kingdom and faces 18 charges under the Espionage Act in the United States for his publication of the Iraq and Afghan war logs. If extradited and convicted, he could face a maximum sentence of 175 years for the crime of publishing material that the U.S. government did not want the population to know. Along with the photos from inside the prison, the inmate pushed a fundraiser causing supporters to worry that he was attempting to extort WikiLeaks or harm Assange by violating his privacy, the Gateway pundit reached out to him to get his side of the story. The reporter spoke to the inmate through a series of online messages and a phone call for multiple hours on Wednesday evening. At the beginning of the conversation, I asked him if he was a prisoner or someone who works there, and if his motive was to extort money from the organization. "I'm in prison right now," he said, sending a photo from inside his cell. "Extort him for what reason? He exposed the biggest scandals in the world. Whose side do you think someone in prison would be on? The government who has locked us up here, or a fellow prisoner who actually doesn't deserve to be here?" The inmate said that he believes that Assange needs his story told properly and is attempting to do what he can to help. He said that he hoped publishing the photos would lead to more people reading about his case. When asked if they were attempting to sell the photos, the inmate claimed that The Sun had offered him $10,000 for them, but he declined because the publication was not interested in telling Assange's story properly. He said that he was only willing to share what he had to say and the accompanying photos with an outlet that supports his fellow inmate, and reiterated that his goal was simply to raise awareness of the truth of Assange's case. The photos feature Assange prior to his illness and being moved to the prison hospital wing last month. We have not been able to verify if Assange is aware of the existence of the photographs. The Gateway pundit was not asked for, nor did we provide any compensation for the interview or permission to use the photos. "I want this case to be understood fully in detail," the inmate told TGP. "I want people to know why exactly the USA wants him and what good he has done for the world." The prisoner said that while Assange can only spend £6 a week, he is in need of commissary money. Multiple people close to WikiLeaks asserted that this is false and he has more than enough in his account. That's the story with the pictures," he added. "He needs canteen money and a much better legal team." While some of the photos revealed his prison cell and the conditions, we have opted not to share those as they may violate his privacy. The photos reveal a thin blue mattress with a scarce and very small cell. The photos of Assange himself reveal considerable weight loss since I last visited him in the Ecuadorian embassy in March. All right, let's go down here. I know many of you have been concerned about his well-being and wanted updates on him, so I wanted to be sure that I got this to you tonight. After viewing photos of Assange prior to entering the prison, the inmate remarked, "It's true, Belmarsh has sucked the life out of him." Speaking generally about how Assange is viewed by other inmates, the prisoner said that he is well liked among the prison population. "Everyone's got a million questions for him, like, is the Illuminati real?" He's probably heard that question a million times, the inmate said, along with laughing emojis. The prisoner said that there's a highly influential QC, a British lawyer named James Scobie, that prisoners who support WikiLeaks want to obtain for Assange's case. He is known in prison for winning a lot of cases, but doesn't come cheap. We've inquired about his schedule for the next year and decided to launch his support campaign. Scobie was ranked by the UK Bar as a leading individual in 2019 and has placed in the UK's Legal 500 multiple times. He is described by the Garden Court Chambers website as a highly experienced leading counsel with a wealth of experience in defending cases of gravity across a broad spectrum of criminal work. He is instructed regularly in cases of murder, armed robbery, multi-handed conspiracies involving the importation and supplying of Class A drugs, and fraud. We reached out to Mr. Scobie asking if he had been contacted about his services or the fundraiser. His office responded by saying that they had not heard anything as of yet. This case won't be won in a courtroom, the inmate said, asserting that it will be won with a positive campaign of public pressure showcasing who he is. The inmate also said that security officers in the prison have been spreading rumors and gossip about the Assange rape case among the inmates, saying things like, "You don't know what he's in here for," to stir the pot. Though he is concerned about the rumors, he does not believe the guards are trying to get Assange hurt. He believes they are simply uninformed about the Swedish investigation and believe the smears from the media. The award-winning publisher is under investigation in Sweden for sex crimes, which he and many of his supporters believe was a setup to get him into the nation where he could be more easily extradited to the United States. I, for one, happen to believe that as well. The case involved consensual sex with two women who later found out he had slept with both. One of the women had claimed that Assange had continued to have sex with her after a condom broke, a crime in Sweden, but the condom she provided to the police had no DNA from her, Assange, or anyone else on it. Swedish authorities attempted to drop the investigation in 2013, but was pressured to keep it open by the British government, further fueling speculation that it is a political hit job. A Crown Prosecutor Service has been brazenly emailed Swedish prosecutors telling them, don't you dare get cold feet. He isn't going to win this case through the law. He's going to win it because there's public outcry, the prisoner explained. He noted that the mainstream media is controlled by the government and said that the internet is the one thing they can't control, sounding a bit like Assange himself. The same people who run the mainstream newspapers are basically the ones running the USA, but they don't own the internet, he said. On a bright note, the inmate explained that prison isn't like the movies, and he believes that Assange is safe from anyone who would want to harm him. You can't sneeze without permission, he said. The prisoner stated that Assange is currently in the hospital wing of the prison. He also said that Assange is very appreciative of all the letters he is receiving from supporters, and that there was one day when nobody in the roughly 300-person unit received mail except for him. All of the post was for Assange, he said, about 500 letters, and it was all for him. It made him smile. Lawyers for Assange were unable to confirm or deny any of the claims. While we cannot confirm the authenticity of any of the inmates' statements or motives, the fact that the photos managed to get out of the highest security prison in the UK is stunning in itself. Prior to his arrest, Assange spent nearly 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, unable to receive proper medical treatment, and the lack of sunshine and fresh air is taking a toll on his system. Doctors who visited him there wrote an article for The Guardian pleading for him to be allowed to go to the hospital for treatment, headlining their account. We examined Julian Assange, and he badly needs care, but he can't get it. The doctors wrote, experience tells us that the prolonged uncertainty of indefinite detention inflicts profound psychological and physical trauma above and beyond the expected stressors of incarceration. These can include severe anxiety, pathological levels of stress, dissociation, depression, suicidal thoughts, post-traumatic stress disorder, and chronic pain, among others. The prisoner was most adamant that he wanted the world to read the UN's report last week, which found that Assange had been the victim of psychological torture. Last week, the UN issued a scathing report in which Niles Meltzer, the UN special reporter on torture, said that Assange had been exposed to psychological torture and warned that the award-winning publisher could face the death penalty if he is extradited to the United States. I hope that is not true. I really do. Meltzer visited Assange along with two medical experts who specialize in examining potential torture victims on May 9th. I'm particularly alarmed at the recent announcement by the U.S. Justice of 17 new charges against Mr. Assange under the Espionage Act, which currently carries up to 175 years in prison. This may well result in a life sentence without parole or possibly even the death penalty if further charges were to be added in the future, Meltzer continued. Now, I don't think we're almost done here, but gosh, this is very long. The report concluded with a condemnation of the actions of these governments in working to deliberately abuse him. In 20 years of work with victims of war, violence, and political persecution, I have never seen a group of democratic states ganging up to deliberately isolate, demonize, and abuse a single individual for such a long time and with so little regard for human dignity and the rule of law, Meltzer said. The collective persecution of Julian Assange must end here and now. In 2016, after 6 months 16 months of investigation, the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention concluded that Assange is a victim of arbitrary detention. Not only did the group of lawyers and human rights professionals release an opinion that Assange should be released, they also determined that he should be compensated by the governments of Sweden and the United Kingdom for deprivation of liberty. Prior to the release of the UN report, the publisher's mother, Christine Assange, tweeted that the UK government is unlawfully, slowly killing my son. They made him very ill by refusing him any access to life-sustaining fresh air, exercise, sun, vitamin D, or proper medical care for 6 years of illegal embassy detention. She tweeted at the United Nations Twitter account. Then again, all medical advice through him. She tweeted at the United Nations Twitter account, then, against all medical advice, threw him into a prison cell. WikiLeaks has not yet responded to the photos. We will update this story if a statement is made available. So there you go. So he is, I don't want to say fine because he's not fine, but he's alive. And he does look, remarkably thin. And no doubt he has suffered psychologically. There's no doubt at all in my mind because his future is uncertain. And I don't know. I wish that either Q or someone would make a remark on this because I don't personally view him as a criminal. Maybe some of you do, and that is fine, and I can respect that. We can agree to disagree, but I just don't think that he's been treated fairly at all. All right, let's go back now because we do have more to get to. Absolutely. All right. Now this is the first one that I read about the New York police chief that commits suicide in his car by himself. And now this is the second one. Second New York Police Department suicide. Veteran New York Police Department detective kills himself hours after chief does the same. So isn't that interesting? Just hours apart, 2 members of the New York Police Department commit suicide in a car by themselves. Odd. New York, frantic search for missing New York Police Department detective ended with a grim find, the second in just 24 hours. Authorities were on frantic search to find Detective Joseph Calabrese after his car was found abandoned near Plum Beach in Brooklyn. Unfortunately, his body was found near the water. He died of self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was later seen early Thursday morning at Maimonides Medical Center at around 2 a.m. after visiting his wife, who had undergone a small surgical procedure. She was expected to be released on Thursday morning. Calabrese, 58, was assigned to the Brooklyn South Homicide Squad. Co-workers became concerned after he never arrived at work on Thursday. His suicide has left his his friends, family, and co-workers in shock. The department is in shock as the suicide comes just hours after New York Police Department Chief Stephen Silks shot and killed himself just days before his scheduled retirement. Who does that? Unless they're upset about retiring. I don't know. Was he being forced to retire? I don't know. But this does seem suspicious to me. And I would assume that you would also find it suspicious. Don't know. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think that this is just a coincidence that 2 members of the New York Police Department have committed suicide so closely together in the exact same manner? I don't know. I'm suspicious because I think it might be linked to what was found on the Wiener laptop, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I am awfully suspicious. All right, now I want to cover this next. I'm sorry, I'm trying to rush tonight because there is so much to get through, so if I stop to chat, I will get even further behind. Now, I'm sorry to do this to you folks, but I think this is important. Really, I do. Because it's not about making fun of her, although we could easily do that. But it's about the question, is she fit to serve? And I have to answer no. in my opinion, she is not in any way fit to serve. And this just makes me wonder more. And, you know, they can complain about all these doctored videos, which really weren't doctored. They were edited selectively to put her stumbles together. They didn't make her stumble. They didn't, you know, do anything that she had not done herself. But here we are again. And this person, Eddie Donovan, PhD, asks Nancy, "Are you well?" Well, I have to agree that I am left with the same question after listening to this. So I'm sorry to do this to you, but I do think it's necessary so that we can get the picture that this person really has no business as Speaker of the House or as any, you know, job of responsibility or authority. That's my belief, but you can let me know in the comments below what you think.
We went there next. She landed at Normandy. You climbed the walls, the hills, and all the rest, and you didn't get a chance to go home. No, 5 years ago when we went there.
Oops, sorry. Let me go back here. I'll start it from the beginning. And she's talking about Normandy and D-Day, and you know that's where she's you climbed on the beach, you climbed the hill. You know, it's just very odd, very odd. Listen again.
We went there next. She landed at Normandy. You climbed the walls, the hills, and all the rest, and you didn't get a chance to go home. No, 5 years ago when we went there. Our purpose is to be thanking the veterans, not to attend an event, but to thank the veterans. So, and they were just so fabulous and so courageous. So this was 5 years ago. So if they were 18, 19 at the time, they were around 20, they're around 89, 90 at the time.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, ma'am.
Looking ahead to next week and votes that are anticipated for contempt, have you made decisions about any penalty mechanisms that you would like to see? And then more broadly, are you feeling...
But you get impeached and it's an indictment. Bye-bye, Birdie.
You get impeached and it's an indictment. Bye-bye, Birdie. And again, we see her... To me, it almost looks like, and I don't know, I haven't been around people that have been on cocaine, but to me, it almost looks like, you know, she's just so, I don't know, meth, I don't know. It's very odd. Like either, I know as some people, you know, get older, they do that thing with their mouth. I don't know if that's part of dementia, but she's definitely playing with her dentures again, her mouth. She has these tics. And even when that person is asking her, she just seems very jerky and very, I don't know. I can't, I'm at a loss to even describe it. But here, let's look at her mouth movements again.
Around 89, 90 at the time.
Madam Speaker. Looking ahead to next week and votes that are anticipated for contempt, have you made decisions about any penalty mechanisms that you would like to see? And then more broadly, are you feeling...
But you get impeached and it's an indictment. Bye-bye, Birdie.
Bye-bye, Birdie. So, I don't know. I'm sure that we will hear from the mainstream media that this has been doctored. It has been edited, no doubt, to put these little stumbles together to show us. But my gosh, this woman does not even sound coherent. And I don't think she's drunk here. I don't see that because when you're like, alcohol is a depressant, it slows you down, but she's jerky and tickish. I don't even know if that's a word, but she's jerky and tickish. If it's not a word, it should be. All right, let's go back. We've got lots more to get to, so I better pick up the pace here. Pick it up. All right. I'm going to be getting jerky and tickish. if I don't be careful here, because I'm trying to get through a lot of information in a short amount of time. All right, I wanted to show you this, and maybe you've seen this before. These are the 4 families and the 3 generations that run California. The Brown family, Pelosi family, the Newsom family, and the Getty family, all intertwined like a big, happy, I don't know. Here's Pat Brown, and he gave money to William Newsom's campaign, and these guys, John Pelosi and William Newsom, are partners in Squaw Valley, and William Newsom's informally adopted Gordon Getty, and Getty informally adopted Kelvin Newsom, and these 2 are business partners. And just bizarre, the interactions between, here's Nancy, Paul, and Ron Pelosi, and here are the Newsom children, Barbara, Tessa, and William Jr., who is lawyer to the Getty family, and as judge helps change trust laws to benefit Gordon Getty. So William Newsom Jr. Is a judge to Gordon Getty to benefit Gordon, retires, administers Gordon's trust, and Jerry is the governor, Jerry Brown, and he appoints William as judge. Just really, really quite fascinating. These 2 business partners. Pat Brown gives money to William Newsom's campaign. Just very interesting, all the connections and interconnectedness of these families. And now I've covered that before, but I wanted to cover it again. It's interesting and important to realize that these people, these 4 families, are very entwined and have been going back generations. So this is almost like a crime syndicate there. It seems that way to me. Not that I'm accusing anybody of anything, but seems to me that it is very similar. All right, and let's look at this. It's a little bit off the main track here, but hey, we're good at going off the main track here. Mega church leader Joaquin Garcia arrested for major sex trafficking crimes. Remember when Q said those you trust the most? He talked about the people involved are those that you should trust the most, like pastors. And I've said this many times. A lot of people, look down on Christianity because they see pastors that do that. But you know what? Just because you say you're a Christian, just because you're running a church, which is a very big money-making thing, just because you're doing that doesn't mean you know the Lord at all. Just like you can sit in the garage, you're never going to become a car. You can lay on a barbecue. You'll never become a hamburger. Well, you might if you lie there long enough, but, well, I wouldn't eat you. I'm just saying. So this church leader is behind bars now, where he should be. Los Angeles, California, Fox 11. He is the leader of La Luz del Mundo Church, but now Joaquin Garcia is behind bars, accused of human trafficking and much more. California Attorney General Xavier Becerra announced on Tuesday that mega church leader Joaquin Garcia and others associated with him face charges of human trafficking, production of child pornography, forcible rape of a minor, among other felonies. Wow. And you know what? It's disgusting because pastors often are in a position of trust, and when they end up doing things like that, people feel raped, not only physically, but spiritually, because you trust this person, and and you're much more willing to let somebody in and trust them when they say they're a pastor. But again, not everybody, you can call yourself anything you want, doesn't make it so. So there you go. And I'm not going to go on with this, but I did want you to know that, and it says, let me see here. The other individuals named in the complaint are Alondra Ocampo, Azalea Rangel Melendez, and Susana Medina Oaxaca, all of whom are affiliated with La Luz del Mundo. In addition to Garcia, Alondra Ocampo and Susan Medina Oaxaca were also arrested. An arrest warrant has also been issued for Azalea Rangel Melendez, who is currently at large. Anyone who believed they may have been the victim of sexual assaults or have information about incidents of sexual misconduct related to anyone who may be involved in this case is asked to call, blah, blah, blah. So interesting. His bail was set at $25 million, and well, it should be. That's inexcusable. I knew a young lady that was raped by a pastor, and no one believed her. And the pastor was allowed to continue on at the church, having full access to young women and continuing on in his ways. Nobody believed her. She was kicked out of the church and demonized, so to speak, by the congregation, and she went through absolute hell. So my sympathy and my prayers go out to the victims. Unbelievable. All right, let's go back and see what else we can get into here, because there is plenty. This from Charlie Kirk. This is your daily reminder that Democrats booed God at their 2012 convention. Now they've removed "So Help Me God" from the oath in House committees. Return tweet if you're sick of the left's war on religion. I am sick, and more sick about it. It's I don't even have a word to describe it, because there should not be any discrimination against. There are religions that I don't agree with, and I'm not even talking about Muslims, because that's not a religion so much as it is an ideology, although they would argue with that. But we should be free to pursue whatever religious freedom that we want, and I may not agree with that, but I don't want to impinge on their freedom to worship their God, because I don't want anybody to impinge on mine. And it seems like everyone else has freedom except for Christians right now. That's the way it seems to me. It feels that way. Anyway, let's take a look at this. This is further to the talk on the migrants that we started with. Mexico freezes human traffickers' bank accounts, sends National Guard to border amid very good discussion. So yeah, all these people that are putting down Donald Trump and saying, he's an idiot for imposing these tariffs, well, they're working. So after both the United States and Mexico claim to have had a very good discussion to avert President Trump's tariff threat, and the U.S. weighing a delay over concerns that both sides wouldn't be able to reach an agreement on all measures Mexico would need to take to avert them, Mexico showed yet another act of good faith on Thursday, freezing the bank accounts of 26 alleged human traffickers. The ministry's financial intelligence unit said in a statement it froze the accounts due to probable links with human trafficking and illegal aid to migrant caravans. The FIU added that it would present the cases to the Attorney General's office. Reuters. Negotiators from both countries are discussing a new framework that would dramatically increase Mexico's immigration enforcement efforts, according to the Washington Post. Mexican officials have pledged to deploy 6,000 National Guard troops to the country's southern border with Guatemala. We wonder, will congressional Democrats pounce on Mexico for this decision like they did when President Trump did it? Well, probably not if Mexico did it, because they're not against Mexico. They're just against Trump. That is their, they are absolutely OCD about it, because that's all they can see. They've got blinders on. They don't care that, these people like Pelosi and Waters and the rest in California, they don't care that their districts are hurting. Their own people are hurting. They don't care about that. They've got these blinders on. Trump, Trump, Trump. We got to find something on Trump. It's despicable. So the Mexican official And the U.S. official said the countries are negotiating a sweeping plan to overhaul asylum rules across the region, a move that would require Central Americans to seek refuge in the first foreign country they set foot upon after fleeing their homeland. That sounds like a good idea. Under such a plan, the United States would swiftly deport Guatemalan asylum seekers who set foot on U.S. soil to Mexico, and the United States would send Honduran and Salvadorian asylum applicants to Guatemala, whose government held talks with acting Homeland Security Secretary Kevin McCallinan last night. This sounds like a good idea to me. I don't know, call me crazy, but I think it'd work. In addition to the deployment of the National Guard, Mexico has promised to build more migrant detention centers and checkpoints to catch and deter northbound Central Americans. Now, I'm not going to read the rest of it because we've already taken a great deal of time on the border crisis, so let me go on and go back. Now, this is interesting. More Pelosi. It's Pelosi Palooza. Yeah, let's go see what she's up to now. Report. Pelosi tells Dems she wants Trump in prison. What for, Nancy? No, seriously, what for? I guess, doesn't matter if he's done anything or not. Even if they have to make something up, she just wants him in prison. She's got issues. Yeah, I think she's got more than issues. I think she has a whole subscription. That's just me, but hey. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi reportedly told top Democrats that she hopes to see President Trump in prison. According to, well, I just thought of this. Maybe she will, but she will be the one behind bars. Yeah, she might see him in prison. Sure, but she'll be the one behind bars. Yeah. According to multiple Democratic sources, Pelosi said during a meeting, I don't want to see him impeached. I want to see him in prison. She made the comments while discussing Democrats' call for impeachment during a meeting with senior party members, including Representative Gerald Nadler, Representative Adam Schiff, and Elijah Cummings. Okay, everybody, come on. I know I'm short of time, but we have time. Collective eye roll, everyone. Don't you feel better? It does. It does something. I don't know if the eyes going up dislodges something. I don't know, but my gosh, you feel better once you do it. Okay, now I'm not going to read any more of that because it's absolute ludicrous. What's the word I'm looking? It's ludicrous, but it's, I don't know. It's asinine. It's ludicrous. It's whatever it is. Okay, well, let's go back because we have more. There's more where that came from. Oh, and this says important. That means that I should click on it, even though I don't remember what it is. Oh, yes. Now, this for you Canadians, Toronto Muslim supports executing gays. That's Sharia law, and it's coming to Canada. Oh, it's coming real soon to Canada. It's alarming how fast it's coming. Executing gays may sound unfair, but it's Sharia law and will replace Canadian law, says Muslims. It will replace Canadian law, says Muslims are outbreeding all, and they are, absolutely. So let's, where is the video? Well, let's click on this and let's get to the video. Is this it? A Toronto Muslim told Rebel Media reporter over the weekend that he supports executing homosexuals because he adheres to Sharia law. Wait a minute. We have laws here in Canada against hate speech. Isn't this hate speech? No, it's only a hate speech if a Christian says it. Silly people. Yeah. Quds Day protester in Toronto on June 1st advocates that Canada should be ruled by Sharia law, Rebel Media reported. This interview took place during Quds Day. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and you know what? I don't care. While is a yearly rally held around the world pushing the belief that Jerusalem belongs to Islam, not the Israelis, and with the belief comes people like our Muslim friend here advocating for replacing Canada's legal system as well as violent anti-Semitism. He also confessed my phone just lit up and it distracted me for a moment, but I'm back now. He also confessed to me that he intentionally, my gosh, I'm distracted, didn't say the oath of citizenship properly when he became a Canadian citizen. Oh, and there's a lot more. We had a long conversation. The Muslim then bragged that Islam and Sharia law will eventually take over Canada because Muslims are the only ones reproducing. That is very, very true. Because everything in Canada is going up so high. People are not having children here. You can't afford it. You cannot find a place, and I'm living in a rural area, you cannot find a place here to buy under $300,000 that you would live in. And that is the bare minimum of a home. I mean, bare minimum. So yeah, people aren't breeding. Hello, because they want to eat. The Muslim then bragged that Islam and Sharia will eventually take over Canadian law. What are you going to do when there's a Muslim majority? The Muslim man asked the rebel media reporter. You can't stop Sharia law. It's coming to Canada, the man said. A gay couple would be executed in Gaza. According to Islamic law, Islam doesn't endorse gays. Islam doesn't endorse homosexuality, the Muslim protester said. At least this Muslim man was honest about the Muslim migrants' plans to reproduce and impose Sharia law in their host country. And the left's unholy alliance with Islam continues. This must be the diversity is our strength Trudeau was talking about. Yes, Trudeau. I had to do it. I feel better. I do feel better. Okay, I'm not gonna, let's listen to him just so that we can make ourselves totally sick.
In solidarity with the natives, I'm also going to do.
I'm just trying to get my head around what you just said, that you don't have any problem with gay people being executed just because of their sexual orientation. I don't understand that.
I don't have any problem with Muslims being executed just because of being Muslims.
That does not happen, sir.
It happened to me. It was very...
Wait a minute. You were executed? You're back from the dead?
No, I'm not from the dead. I'm just saying, I despite being a Canadian citizen, like I'm telling you my own experience, at times I've been treated unfairly.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
No, really, I'm sorry to hear that.
Muslims in Canada get treated unfairly every
true.
single day. Whether it's job, whether it's admissions in universities, whether it's something else. You know, there is unfairness. There is racial profiling here.
But see, I think that's the difference between you and I. I don't want any unfairness, even because you're a Muslim. But at the same time, I don't want to see people being executed for their sexual orientation.
Okay, why
would you want that, sir?
No. Why would you not want people like, you know, it's because of these abnormal sexual orientations that your population is going down the slump as we are growing everywhere. And whatever the gay people are doing is against the commandments of God. If you do anything against the commandments of the Queen, even if you swear at the Queen in the court, do you get punished or not? Don't you think it's unfair? It's against free speech.
Okay, I can't listen to any more of this. Just can't. And the thing is, it's like, okay, well, you know, he says it's against the commandments of God. Okay, well, God will sort it out. We're not supposed to execute them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's between them and God. It has nothing to do with us. And, you know, we don't, well, we're supposed to do good to those that despitefully use us, to love our enemies. And, you know, you don't have to accept, you don't have to embrace what, you know, but come on, this is unbelievable. And, you know, there's already been many cases of honor killings in Canada, many cases, but they go unreported. All right, so let's go back here because time is a ticking. And let's look at this. Okay, we've already looked at this. This is the same thing that I had. It was just from a different source. Same thing, different source. So let's go back now and see what else. And I think I'm going to break soon. I may come back and do a second video because there is so much happening right now that I don't want to get behind. And I do want to at least cover the things that I think are important. And, you know, maybe I'm not, you know, write about everything, but I do try to bring you things that I think that you might be interested in and things that I think that people should know. So let's look at this. This is good news. This is from Jack Prosobic. Breaking: Trump DOJ opens new investigation into billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. This is very good news. Very good news. This is what we wanted, and this is what needs to happen. Federal prosecutor seeking new information, I guess. Spencer Kuven, an attorney for 3 women, said that he spoke with the assistant U.S. attorney. The U.S. attorney appeared to focus on what Epstein's victims want. I'm not going to go out to the article. It's enough for us to know that the DOJ is going to open a new investigation into that, and that is what has needed to happen for a very long time. All right, now I think I'm going to break, but before I do, I'm going to leave you with a little bit of humor. And this: hi, before I get on the plane, I was wondering, are there any passengers on board who are connected to the Clintons? That might be a good question to ask before you fly. Really, does this pilot know the Clintons? Has he ever been around the Clintons? Yeah, I'm just saying. Is there anybody on board that knows the Clintons? Yeah, I think I might want to ask that, because it's funny how all these Clinton people connected to the Clinton just kind of show up dead. Don't know what it is, but it's odd. Anyway, that is it for this video, and I am going to cut it off there, here, wherever, and I may be back, actually, because I do still have some energy. Yes, I do. So why not expend it on another video? Well, I think I will. Gosh darn it. So I'll see you guys back here, and thank you guys for listening. I hope you come back. I'll get lonely if you don't. I'll keep a fire lit for you. So I'll keep the light on, just like Motel 8. Or is it Motel 6? I don't know. What's the difference between Motel 6 and Motel 8? 2. Anyway, let's cut it off there. You guys have a great night. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth because you can. Good night.